Welcome back to Trump Tuesday, episode 15. Let's get right into the news. First, let's start off with the main story this week, Obamagate. When it got brought up, nobody really knew what it was, and surprisingly, the man who created it doesn't really know either.
What crime exactly are you accusing President Obama of committing, and do you believe the Justice Department should prosecute him?
Obamagate. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on from before I even got elected. And it's a disgrace that it happened. Some terrible things happened, and it should never be allowed to happen in our country again.
What is the crime exactly that you're accusing him of?
You know what the crime is. The crime is very obvious to everybody. All you have to do is read the newspapers, except yours.
Yeah, it looks like a new conspiracy made by Trump. But what actually is it? So first of all, Trump is trying to tie Obama to a scandal and trying to make it more menacing by putting Gate at the end of it, referring to Richard Nixon's Watergate scandal that led to his impeachment and resignation. But that has literally zero part in this. Basically, after the 2016 election, the intelligence community discovered that Michael Flynn, former Trump National Security Advisor, was having secret conversations with foreign powers. But the important part is that they investigated it. And there are newly released documents that shed light on what happened during those investigations.
Newly declassified documents identifying more than a dozen Obama administration officials involved in the unmasking of Michael Flynn.
Unmasking is when a senior government official requests to know the identity of a U.S. citizen in an intelligence report. It's something that happens thousands of times a year.
These documents don't show any political motivations. It doesn't show us that anybody who shouldn't have had access to this information was getting access to it.
Oh, okay. So basically what the Obama administration did was a standard government procedure that happens thousands of times a year. So in other news, Trump's allies have claimed that Obama and some of his aides asked for Michael Flynn's identity to be, quote, unmasked in intelligence reports about conversations with the Russian ambassador, ignoring the fact that these people couldn't have known it was Flynn until he was unmasked. So no matter what you can say about it, there's one thing for sure. This is just another one of his conspiracies made to turn down Obama. In fact, he even wants him to be prosecuted for whatever crime he conducted, asking Lindsey Graham on Twitter to ask Obama to testify, claiming, quote, he knew everything without providing any context about what he did or what he knows. Lindsey Graham told Politico, I don't think now's the time for me to do that. I don't think if that's even possible. I have grave concerns about the role of executive privilege and all kinds of issues. Trump also tweeted for Senate Majority Leader, or turkey who just swallowed another turkey, Mitch McConnell to, quote, get tough and move quickly. That's also what an underground drug organization leader said to his cartel. So, during this week's mess and chaos of the Obamagate scandal, some have proposed that Trump started the scandal to drive away the attention of how poorly he and his administration have tried to combat the virus. And I honestly think that makes sense, judging based on this recording that was leaked a few days before Trump brought up the scandal. Listen to this.
It has been an absolute chaotic disaster when that mindset of what's in it for me and to heck with everybody else, when that mindset is operationalized in our government.
Yeah, Trump might have just started this whole thing just to get revenge on his former president, Barack Obama. Okay, let's get away from this conspiracy and focus on another big topic. The coronavirus is spreading, not only around the country, but also in the White House.
Well, the Trump administration is fighting to contain an outbreak of coronavirus sweeping through the White House this morning.
In 48 hours, 2 members of the White House staff tested positive for the virus. First on Thursday, it was the president's personal valet, a military service member on the team that serves his lunch in the Oval Office. Then Friday, the vice president's press secretary, Katie Miller, tested positive.
Katie Miller is married to Stephen Miller, President Trump's senior policy advisor. The president is now revealing that his military valet was right there with him the day before the valet tested positive.
On Tuesday, he was in the room and virtually, I don't think any contact, but he was in the room.
The valet's duties included serving the president lunch and those Diet Cokes he drinks all day long.
Yes, the coronavirus is now officially in the White House. This has forced many officials to go under quarantine, including Fauci and the head of the FDA. Upon learning that Miller was infected, he said this about tests.
So she tested positive out of the blue. This is why the whole concept of tests aren't necessarily great. The tests are perfect, but something can happen between a test where it's good and then something happens and all of a sudden she was tested very recently and tested negative. And then today, I guess, for some reason, she tested positive.
Okay, listen here, guys. You know from my series that Trump has said some pretty dumb stuff. But out of everything he has said, this has got to be the dumbest thing he has ever said. This dude literally just said the reason that test kits are useless is because they work. And you know what's most concerning about this whole thing is that you would have hoped that Trump seeing the effectiveness of testing firsthand in his own house would have convinced him that testing is the best solution for the rest of America, but somehow Trump came away with the exact opposite lesson. Look, we have over 1.5 million total cases, 90,000 Americans have died, and 33 million people are unemployed. We're dealing with a public health crisis, an economic crisis, a crisis of democracy, and the rule of law. And if we somehow make it through all of that intact, what we're seeing now
It should never be allowed to happen in our country again.
Thank you for watching, and see you next week on Trump Tuesday.